There's a glow that's burning in
Yeah,
the
I'm
light.
trying to.
I can see it on the other side. Are we dancing into paradise? On your streets of gold. On your streets of gold. There's a love that's waiting to ignite. I can feel it burning deep inside. Are we dancing into paradise? On your streets of gold. On your streets of gold. Hear the choir singing. Hear the church bells ringing. Walk the streets made of gold. Like a river flowing in my soul. Like a river flowing in my soul. Like a river flowing in my soul. Shine a light of good for all to see. Full of hope and love and melody. We're all dancers waiting to be free. On your streets of gold. On your streets of gold. Hear the choir singing. Hear the church bells ringing. Walk the streets made of gold. Like a river flowing in my soul. Hear the choir singing. Hear the church bells ringing. Walk the streets made of gold. Like a river flowing in my soul. Like a river flowing in my soul. Like a river flowing in my soul.
Walk on the streets that are made of gold. We will walk on the streets that are made of gold. Walk on the streets that are made of gold. We will walk on the streets that are. Oh, hallelujah.
Hear the choir singing. Hear the church bells ringing. Walk the streets made of gold. Like a river flowing in my soul. Hear the choir singing. Hear the church bells ringing. Walk the streets made of gold. Like a river flowing in my soul. 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 You, it's only you who designed the stars that knows my heart. You never leave my side. You, it's only you who can split the seas, still wait for me. Why am I walking blind, stumbling? You can lead me home. You can lead me home. I can see you in the moonlight. I can hear you through the night sky, whispering my name, calling me back home. I can see you in the distance, loving me as long as you stay. Help me to believe your love is all I need.
You would be shocked to find out the 5 things that we're about to tell you about things that you didn't know about the early church. Well, probably. My name is Father Christopher Plant. I'm the pastor of St. Bartholomew here in Katy, Texas.
My name is Father Ray Carriola, and I'm the parochial vicar here.
And who's this? Welcome to Conversing Clergy, clergy who talk and listen.
Here I am at your door.
They're doing the intro.
Would you let me in?
Ah, I messed up. I'm sorry.
What? They didn't hear him?
Father Nicholas, for some reason your sound wasn't working, so can you say again your intro? Actually, I messed
Father
up.
Nicholas Ramirez, the pastor at St. Francis Cabrini in South Houston.
That's it. And previously the parochial vicar of
The
St.
PV,
Bartholomew.
parochial
Yes.
vicar, that's
He
right.
was the PV.
I replaced Father Nicholas because he was called to
You
be a
did.
pastor. Yeah.
I
That's
remember
awesome.
that. Yeah, I
Complete
remember.
replacement.
I remember when I first got here, Father Wayne had been transferred out, and the pastor's seat was vacant, and so I literally was vacant. There was nobody sitting in the office, and so when I first got here, Father Nicholas had been here for what, 3-4 weeks, right?
Yeah,
How long were
a
you
few
here,
weeks, yep.
acting pastor? So the seat was vacant until I went into the office and I saw him sitting in the pastor's seat.
And you're like, what are you doing here?
He had
No,
his-
my
That's
favorite
not your
comment that I heard from people that you told me, I thought this was great, was when you arrived, one of the first masses, somebody mentioned to you, "Oh, we're so glad that Father Nicholas finally has some help here." Like you were the
Oh,
help.
I remember that. They said, I'm glad you're here to help Father Nicholas. I said, well, I'll do my best. So that's what
funny.
I said.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. So so glad you're here with us, Father Nicholas. We got a lot of great content tonight, and I'm sure the conversation is going to be fantastic too, especially because we have Father Nicholas coming back with us, and I have been very fortunate to have two good, fantastic parochial vicars here in a row. So Father Nicholas and Father Ricardo. So I've been very blessed as a pastor.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, I mean it. I really do. And I want to welcome also our regular visitors, especially our subscribers to the YouTube channel and also the Facebook page. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. A special welcome to our Patreon patrons who support us, who help us financially and also help us to advance the mission of Conversing Clergy into the future. And also our visitors who are with us for the first time, an extra special welcome to you as well. The charism of Conversing Clergy is conversation among priests, conversation with the laity, and that within that conversation that we hear Jesus Christ himself speak to us. Just like with the disciples who are on their way to Emmaus, Jesus conversed with them, and at the end of the conversation, their hearts were burning within them, and that's what we hope will happen with all of us tonight. We do this through these 8 p.m. Wednesday topical chats, also through, right now during the pandemic, a daily rosary and Divine Mercy Chaplet, English and English and Spanish going between the two. And then also we do various videos and reflections over the scriptures. So if you like this kind of content and you would like to get more of it, please feel free to subscribe on, let me get this up for you. Feel free to subscribe on the YouTube channel, or if you're on the Facebook page, hit that follow button, and that way you'll get notifications. By the way, on YouTube, it is important to hit the bell, otherwise you will not get notifications from YouTube. So you want to make sure to do that. And yeah, so yeah, think about doing that. And I think the next step that we want to take now, I don't know if everybody knows who Father Nicholas is in terms of your story. Can you just maybe for a few minutes tell us your story and where you're at now and how things are going at your parish?
Sure. So I was ordained in June of 2016, and my first assignment was there at St. Bartholomew, the Apostle, in Katy. It was a bit of a challenging first few days of priestly ministry there at the parish because, as you mentioned, Father Wayne had just been reassigned to another parish. So I'm a newly ordained priest, and as you said, had nobody there to pastor me. So I was acting pastor for a few days, but the people were great, and once you arrived, of course, there was just an immediate sense of relief for me, most definitely. So I was unbelievably thankful for that. And then I had 2.5 wonderful years of ministry there at St. Bartholomew. I like to say my first love, as a priest, and that will always remain the case. And made great relationships, wonderful families. It was a tremendous gift to have Katie be home. The very beginnings of my priestly ministry, and so last March of 2019, Cardinal DiNardo assigned me as administrator here at St. Francis Cabrini. So this is in South Houston. I'm close to Hobby Airport, and I've been here just over a year, so about 14 months and it's been also another kind of roller coaster ride, but a great adventure as well. A wonderful community made up of Latinos and English speakers and some Vietnamese from across the street. We have Vietnamese Martyr Parish close by, and many very close proximity parishes. So there's a lot of kind of cross-culture between the parishes that are nearby. So it's I'm a long way from Katy, sadly, but ministry is going very well. So I'm blessed.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and I'm glad to see you doing so well. And it's a heck of a transition from parochial vicar to pastor. I remember what it was like for me, and going from St. Thomas More as parochial vicar over to Resurrection, and it really is quite different from what one would expect. Would you say the same thing as well?
Night and day.
Yeah.
It's not. Yes. In fact, one of my classmates, Father Clark, who's the administrator at Thomas More.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Thomas
Yes.
More. Yeah.
One of the things that we shared with each other, it's like my brain does not ever turn off. Like
Exactly.
I'm constantly thinking about bills and about staff and the ministry that we have ahead and the projects that are going on. So it's a constant labor of love and fruitful suffering, I'll say.
That's good.
But pretty much the seminary trains you for all of that, right, Father Nicholas?
Sure.
Oh, yes. No, yeah, there's a manual, and all I have to do is open the manual, and it tells me exactly what to do in every situation.
I think it was Pandemic 101. I think it was the last year of seminary, right? How do you run a parish in the midst of a pandemic?
Yes.
Yeah,
well,
of course
if
not.
you find that manual, I would like to see it. So, and some of the mistakes that we're making, I joke around and say, well, we're learning some things to be ready for the next pandemic. So, God forbid that happen. But anyway, we got some great chats coming in. And by the way, if you are on here on YouTube or Facebook, please feel free to chat with us. Put your comments in and even your questions. Although we'll have some Q&A at the end, and because that's all part of the charism of Conversing Clergy. All righty. Now, Father Nicholas, I hope you remember that Conversing Clergy always begins with that which helps us converse, and that is the mugs and whatever is contained in them.
Oh.
Did you remember your mug?
I don't have a mug. I've got a. Let me see.
We'll give you a. Oh yeah,
There
that's
you go.
very slick. No, nobody's noticing right now what's happening. Oh, you got that? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
We'll take that. We'll take that. So what do you have there? What kind of mug do you
I've
have?
got coffee. Oh, this is a Yeti.
It's just a Yeti?
Yeah, just a Yeti.
There's nothing entertaining about that Yeti. It's black. It's
It's black.
plain.
That's nice. It's.
That's true.
This is a gift I received, and it's sizable.
You got to have an
This will
interesting
last me
story about it.
The whole day.
Yeah.
No, there's really nothing interesting about
We'll
it.
give you a pass. We'll give you a pass.
Very
this
priestly.
time. We'll give you a pass this time, Father Nicholas. So what I have is one of our people that joins us on our YouTube channel and our Conversing Clergy. I want to say maybe a month ago, gave me this mug, and I drank out of it 3 weeks ago, and I said I'm going to bring it back out because we actually have it sitting in our kitchen.
Yeah.
Because I just love the way it looks. So this is a porg, and it's literally. Because I talked about how big it was, and the guy who sent it to me said it's that big because it's meant to be the actual size of a porg. So this is the actual size of a porg, and I'm gonna
What's a
Not
porg?
that they're real.
It's from Star Wars.
Oh
It's
yeah.
from Star Wars.
Yeah.
So tonight I'm gonna be sipping coffee out of the porg head.
Yeah, but every time I see that, I'm like, okay, I should be sad, I guess. Just, you know what I
I
mean? Like
know,
I'm
he
laughing,
looks-
and then I see it, I'm like,
Yes,
oh yeah.
he's saying this
Serious.
is very undignified, is what he's saying.
Yeah, mine is, you've seen it before. It's the one with the collar. It's a very priestly, just as Father Ricardo right there. So I really like it. It's really nice.
And one more thing I
that's
want
right.
to show everybody is so we spoke about I don't know how it happened, or why we started saying this, but we said we really miss Christopher Meyer, and we said wouldn't it be great
To have a picture.
of him, and
Yeah.
then somebody said maybe it was Maricruz that said it to have a Chewbacca
You-
painting.
It was you.
with his face. Did I say that?
Yes.
I said it'd be great to have a Chewbacca. I don't know why. Oh, because you pointed to the Chewbacca.
No, I said, well, just like we have a Chewbacca
That's
here,
it.
let's have a Chris Meyer.
And I said let's
Yeah.
have a mix, a Chewbacca painting with his face. So here it is.
Oh my gosh. Look at that.
Yes.
Isn't it amazing?
Love it.
He actually looks like
Oh
him.
my
It's
gosh.
impressive.
Yeah,
And
she
look
did
at
a
the
good
mug.
job.
Look
Yeah,
at the mug.
Yeah, you can see right there the Memento Mori
skull.
mug. Yeah, right there, the
Yeah.
skull. So yeah, it's a trademark of Christopher Myers. So if you're watching this, Chris,
Pretty impressive.
this is your
Oh,
legacy.
he's watching. I already saw him comment.
Oh,
on
is he? Oh, is he
Yeah.
commenting? Yeah, because I asked him. All right.
Oh, man.
Okay, so let me just read some of the chats, and then we'll go into the rest of the evening. So we have here Claudia Sanchez says, "Saludos, Padre Nicolás. Se le recuerda extrañar saludos para todos." Elizabeth Vargas says, "Saludos al Padre Nicolás." Lynn Lewis says, "Good evening." Alcida says, "Good evening, fathers. Ready for the conversation." Mirtis Rimasa says, "Good evening, St. Bart's." Jeanette says, "Good evening." Miosotis also says, "Hi, Father Christopher, Ricardo, and welcome, Father Nicholas. So glad to see you." Angelica Morphin says, "So excited to see Father Nicholas. We definitely miss seeing him at St. Bart's. Father Nicholas was the priest who got me comfortable and wanting to go to confessions." So there you go. Awesome. Elaine says, "Nice to see Father Nicholas." Martinez says, "Amen." And Marty Brown says, "So happy to see Father Nicholas." Awesome. Looking on the YouTube channel, we don't see a whole lot of chats on the Conversing Clergy channel. I might just have to reload it for everybody. And now I'm going to switch over. Yeah, there we go. There are all the chats. Wow, a lot of chatting on the Conversing Clergy page. Devsin says, "Good evening." Michael says, "What a great show, and so glad this channel was started." Thank you, Michael. And he also says, "Thank you again for the wonderful resources on learning Latin. I have been using them every day since they were recommended by you both." Thank you so much, Michael. Rosa says, "Hello, Father Christopher, Father Ricardo, and Father Nicholas. Today has been a real blessing." Suzanne says, "We cannot hear Father Nicholas." I know, I got it fixed. I said, Father Nicholas, there was something wrong with your microphone, but it was on my end. So I had stuff muted. Anyway. And Michael says, "There we go." Sister Fortune says, "Nice to see you." And Lori says, "Hello, everyone. Good to see you, Father Nicholas." LaDonna also says hello to all of us. And Jojo as well. These are the Vibars. You guys have to tell me. Yeah, you guys have to tell me if I'm mispronouncing your name. I've been calling you Vibar this whole time. So Suzanne
I think
says
it's
hello.
V-bar.
Is it V-bar? I've been calling you guys Vibars.
Vivar.
I like Vibar better. We're just going to change it. Lori says,
I just
"Amen."
made that up.
Did you make it? I knew it. Layla says, "See, this is a thing. This is part of the charism. Part of the charism of Conversing Clergy is to troll with nonstop." Suzanne, Lori says, "Amen." Layla says, "Good evening, Reverend Fathers." Suzanne Bueno says, "Hi, Father Christopher, Father Ricardo, and Father Nicholas. Fantastic priests. Thank you." LaDonna Hartman says, "Amen to that, Father Christopher." Christopher Myers here. There he is. "Great to see Father Nicholas on the show. Decent replacement for Seminarian Christopher."
Decent. I'll take that.
replacement.
I'll take
Yes,
decent.
Yes, that for him is a high compliment. Suzanne
Yeah.
says, "Hi, Seminarian Chris. Glad to see you joining." And Jed says, "Just logged on. Where is Seminarian Christopher?" Well, he's on the chat. Supplecoder says, "Seminarian Chris, future priest, forever in our hearts." And Bryn Sutton says, "It's been a day. Looking forward to hearing adults talk." Awesome. Adults talk. I hope we can fulfill that expectation. Lori says, "Christopher Meyer, good to have you in the stream." Alan says, "So happy to see the porg is back." That's it. Thank you, Alan. Appreciate you. Layla says, "I saw Father Nick ordained on June 4th, same day as my birthday." Awesome. LaDonna says, "We miss you, Seminarian Chris." Veronica says, "Hi, Father Nick." Angela says, "Hello." Bryn Sutton says, "We were at St. John Vianney when Father Clark was." Very cool. Lori says, "Sounds like a regular family." And Carolina Ruiz says, "Hello, Fathers. So glad to see all three of you. Hope you are doing well. Father Nicholas and Seminary Christopher, glad to see you on the stream. We'll miss you." And Layla says, "You run it very carefully. Thank you." And Jed says, "No one has a skull mug tonight." I think that's with Chris now. I think he has this. He's the one that collects skulls. And Def Sin says, "Hi, Father
Very
Nicholas."
Franciscan.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or another kind of person. Layla says, "Maybe Father Rick would like a stuffed porg." There you go. Christopher Meyer says, "Dead." I'm not sure why he's saying that. And Nadia Simmons says, "Jude Simmons is so excited to see you, Father Nicholas."
Jude!
There you go. Rosie Bautista says, that's hilarious. Elena says, nosotros muy contentos de cómo ustedes han manejado esta crisis. Hemos sido guiados, fortalecidos y acompañados cada momento durante esta pandemia. Dios los bendiga. Gracias. Thank you so much, Elena. And Christopher Meyer asks a question. Is Father Nicholas going to be outscored by Seminary Christopher for a third straight year in the 2021 Priests versus Seminarian basketball game?
That is a plant. Chris talked to her and made her say that.
No, that was Christopher saying that. That was Christopher.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's owning
right.
owning up to his nonsense. All right, Suzanne Perez says, Christopher Meyer, you are now memorialized. Yeah, Christopher, I'd like to hear about your thoughts about. I think you saw it already, but it's a spitting image of you. Cynthia says, nice to see Father Nicholas. Good evening. And Angelica says, you are Miss Christopher Meyer. Glad to see you on the chat. And also, P.S. Work on your hygiene. I can't get away with that now because he could actually see the chat now.
Right.
That's an inside joke. Whenever somebody compliments Christopher Meyer, sometimes I'll throw at the end. And you also need to work on your hygiene. So,
and people don't know if you're actually trolling or not.
I know. So I had to say it's just a joke. And a poor person commenting like, I didn't say that. All right, Darlene Trujillo, looking at the Facebook page for Father Christopher Plant. Sandra Ashley says, I am glad to be with you all this evening. Yay, Father Nicholas. Thank you, Sandra. Darlene Trujillo says, hello. What a great day to make it on time. I miss you, Father Nicholas. Hi, Father Christopher and Ricardo. Elma also says hello to all of us. Rons says, love our virtual visitor. Awesome. Luisa says, ¿Qué es esa foto? I like how she says photo.
Yeah.
Who took that photo of Christopher Meyer? We're dogging him. And we can't say it's not fair because he's not here because he's on the stream. So he can troll back. You have permission. Although there were some formation directors on. Jean-Marie says, hi, Father Nicholas. We miss you. And Patty says, good evening to all the priests. Thank you so much,
But you know
Patty.
what? He may have some pictures that he's going to share.
Of us. That's true.
Yeah. So
That's
we love
true.
you, Chris.
That's true.
Peace.
He had a picture of you in Jabba the Hutt costume or something.
No.
All right. Bobby says, hello, fathers. We are ready to listen and learn. Awesome. And Bobby, we got it fixed. Let's see. George says, great to see you, Father Nicholas. And this is on the St. Bartholomew YouTube channel now. Judy says, it is good to see Father Nicholas. Judy also says, of course, we are always happy to see Father Christopher and Father Rick. Well, thank you so much. Loving Life says, blessed evening, fathers. We are glad to see you, Father Nicholas. This is from the Murray family. David Jazerski says, Father Nicholas did a wonderful job in between pastors. I agree. And Raz says, yay. And David says again, when will Father Rick grow a beard? I seem to remember the battle of the beards with Father Christopher and Father Nicholas. That was more like the battle of how much can we confuse our parishioners by growing a beard, shaving a beard, growing the beard.
I love that.
And so, yeah. And people did get us confused.
All the time. I got called Father Christopher all the time.
It got so bad, I called myself Father Nicholas. I introduced myself as Father Nicholas one time. I kid you not. All right. And Audrey says, good evening, everyone. It's very nice to see Father Nicholas. And it's V-Bar, George says. V-Bar. So.
V-Bar. That's what I said.
You were right. Yeah, you were right.
You were right. I was wrong. I know that's what you want to hear. Moving on. All righty. Okay, so we're going to just talk about what we have for today. So we're going to talk about 5 shocking things about the early church that you probably didn't know. Now, if you did know some of these things, then we have that qualifier, so we're still right. And so 5 things, we're going to go through it, and Father Nicholas and Father Ricardo and I will go into that. And we will also have, at some point, a segment called the PDC, so Pictures of the Domestic Church. Thank you to those who have sent them in. And we have a few that we weren't able to completely fit in yet, but we hope we'll be able to do it next week, and we'll go into that. And finally, we'll have a question and answer, about 20 minutes, just open Q&A. And they can be questions about the faith. I would prefer if you have questions about the parish, like stuff that's going to be happening at the parish, that you might want to wait until tomorrow, because I'm constantly doing Q&As right now with the Rosary. Yeah. But if you ask it, I'm not going to refuse. So I'd be happy to answer any question that I can. And then at some point we'll have some meme times. I'm just not sure. We'll have at least, you know what?
How many?
I think we'll have at least two. At
Okay,
least two meme
just
times.
two?
We
It
might
sounds like a long live stream. How long are we going to be going for?
till midnight.
No,
Yeah, I told you
You
till
know-
midnight.
it's
No. Well, let me put
maybe
this.
11 p.m. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna
Okay.
have.
We'll keep
you know
it
what?
short.
You know what? Forget the meme times. Father Nicholas complained about it. So, all right. You know what? We'll do at least two.
No.
We'll do a third one if Father Nicholas behaves himself tonight. All right, moving
I'll
on.
try to be on my best behavior.
All righty. So let's move on to our first item. The first shocking thing that you probably did not know about the early church. I'm sorry. Let me get this thing fixed.
That's yours.
No, this is it.
No.
So number
that's you,
one.
Father Ricardo, no?
Yeah.
No, we
Oh,
got it.
yeah, I have that
Yeah,
one.
number one is the early church had a strong devotion to the Blessed Virgin Mary. So Father Ricardo will tell us about that, which could be shocking for some.
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely was shocking for me, in seminary when I was learning everything about the early church. So it definitely, I grew in my faith, just seeing the Catholic faith very much alive since the early centuries. So I'm bringing 5 things about our Blessed Mother in the early church. So the first one is the earliest prayer that the church ever composed to the Blessed Virgin Mary. So what I mean here is that we're actually asking for her intercession. And it's called the Subtum Presidium. And I think everybody knows this one. So it is, we fly into thy protection, O Holy Mother of God. Do not despise our petitions in our necessities, but deliver us always from all dangers, O glorious, O blessed Virgin Mary. Amen. And it was actually also an ancient hymn with these same words. Now, you may ask, what year was this? Well, it was 250 AD, which is the 3rd century. But this was an official prayer that made it to the liturgy, which means that obviously the early Christians were singing or were praying this early on. It takes a lot of years to actually have some definitive prayer to make it in the liturgy. So from early times we have this the Christians asking the intercession of the Blessed Mother. And it's interesting because a lot of people, and even some Christians, Protestants, they say, we want to worship, we want to pray like the early church. Well, guess what? You have to have a devotion to the Blessed Mother if you want to pray like the early church. Another thing that I brought to you is that the most ancient piece of art that depicts our Blessed Mother, and it's actually a fresco. It's a fresco from the Dura Europos Church in Syria, or modern day Syria, from the 2nd century. And it's basically Mary, you can Google it, but it's basically Mary nursing the baby Jesus. So it's portraying her nurturing nature as mother.
And what's it called again?
Well, they can find it as Dura, D-U-R-A, Europos, E-U-R-O-P-O-S, Church, Syria. Okay, so that was a fresco there from the the 2nd century.
It's a fresco, huh?
Yeah, and it's impressive. Okay, so the third item is that Mother of God was the first official feast day in the liturgy, and that happened. That was a fruit actually of the Council of Ephesus from the year 431, which declared Mary as the Theotokos, the Mother of God. So that's if somebody asks you, hey, what's the first feast of Mary in the church? Well, that's the one, Mary, Mother of God. And also,
That's pretty amazing right there.
I know. And then I have some quotes, but I'm not going to read all of them. I'm just going to tell you that the early church praised Mary with the following titles. The new Eve, Mary as the new Eve. So just like the first Eve was a virgin, the second Eve was also a virgin. But the first Eve was disobedient, and the second Eve was obedient and brought salvation to the world. The first one brought perdition, right? Then another title, obviously, Mary, Mother of God. And they also, just go and research Ignatius of Antioch, Justin Martyr, St. Irenaeus. They evoke Mary as the Virgin. the virgin.
The virgin.
Right? Not just a virgin, but the
Yeah,
virgin, with
yeah.
the notes that she was a virgin before, during, and after
Right.
giving birth.
Right. And that's so important because the arguments that are made against the Marian devotions are that this is something that came up in the Middle Ages, right?
Yeah.
Or this was a corruption of the
Exactly.
Catholic Church. And we're seeing it during that time, which was almost contemporaneous with the writing of the same scriptures.
That's
You
right.
know, with the Gospels.
Oh, yeah.
So it's almost like a hotline. And I remember when I took a patristics class, learning about all of these different things about the early church, the cardinal said that some of these figures are a hotline connected to St. Paul or to John, the Apostle John. And yeah, so it's really neat to see that. No, it was already part of the cult of the church.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And also, just to finalize, I want everybody to try to get this book. If if for some reason, you have some doubts about, our devotion to the Blessed Mother, this book, it's called Mariology, is really a guide for priests, deacons, seminarians, and consecrated persons. But anybody can read that, and
Let me
it's
see if I can kind of hold it out there.
yeah,
for
it's
you,
an
you know.
anthology, so it has
Mariology.
writings, it has essays. It's very
Yeah.
well explained, and very easy to understand.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh,
Very
that's
cool.
wonderful.
And it's
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
written.
you're welcome.
Who's it written by?
Well, it's an anthology,
Oh, okay.
so I
So-
mean, it's different authors.
Okay, and it's published by Seed of
Batan?
Wisdom.
But
or
it has
Queenship.
it has a foreword by Archbishop Burke.
Archbishop
Raymond
Burke, and
Burke.
I can
So-
I can see that Scott Hahn wrote some stuff in there.
Mhm. Yeah.
Awesome. So number 2, the second shocking thing about the early church that you didn't know probably is the Didache mentions abortion. Also,
I have that one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also,
Please.
Also, the question is, what's a Didache?
I know, right?
I don't have a whole lot of Didaches.
I thought it was pronounced Didache.
No. Come on.
Didache.
Hey, who was your
I
professor? Who
tried
was
to
your
grow-
professor at the seminary?
I tried to grow
Come on.
I tried to grow a Didache, and they told me to shave it off. The Didache. You
At
know?
the Dodge. So many contemporary Christians, they claim that the church's moral teachings on abortion is something new, right? That the church has never claimed, like explicitly denounced this sin, or definitely not the early church. Well, this is not true. We have a document, at least one. I'm going to mention two, by the way. But the first document is the Didache, which means it translates as the teaching. And
Didactic, right? Like didactic.
yeah, that's the root
Yeah.
of the word. But it's the teachings, and some people actually know this as the teaching of the 12. And guess what? Modern scholars, they claim that this document was written in the 1st century. This is modern scholars.
Yeah.
And okay, what is it? Well, this document combines code of morality and a manual of church life and some liturgical laws as well. So they think about this book as kind of like a list of things that we should avoid and things that we should do. It kind of talks about two ways: the way of life and the way of death, right? So if you want to follow the way of death, well, then you're going to fall into these sins. But if you want to follow the way of life, then you should do the good. So it just brings some list. And there are some prohibitions, right? Includes murder, adultery, sodomy, fornication, theft, the use of magic, infanticide, and abortion. So literally, it declares the following. It says, "Thou shalt not murder a child by abortion." This is the 1st century church declaring this so clearly. And I love the fact that it doesn't just say "thou shalt not commit abortion," but murder a child by abortion, right? I mean, it has that word of murder. So that you can actually understand what they understood by abortion. There's another document besides the Didache, and it's the Epistle of Barnabas, which didn't make it obviously to the canon of the Bible. This was written between the years 70 and 132. And just before it talks about the abortion prohibition, it says, thou shalt thou shalt love thy neighbor more than your own life. And then it says that abortion it's forbidden. So, you know, with this thing is that the fetus is seen not as part of its mother, but as a neighbor.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, it's really amazing. And maybe you want to, I don't know if you want to chime in on this as well, Father Ricardo, but there is this misunderstanding that the Catholic Church did not teach that abortion was immoral until later on, like it was more of a modern phenomenon.
Exactly.
And sometimes they point to St. Thomas Aquinas, who said that abortion was not immoral. Basically, the child wasn't alive until some time after conception. So, but that was because of how they interpreted whether or not a child had actually been formed in the womb. They didn't have a scientific microscope to see, oh, look at the sperm uniting with the egg and etc. They didn't have that. So what did they have? They had the moment when there was movement. So that's really what was happening, but it had always been taught that from the moment that the child is formed, that that child is real. It's a person, and therefore abortion's immoral. So it's, and the other thing, and I'll just kind of end with this, is that in ancient Rome, how they treated children was absolutely brutal, right? In ancient pagan Rome, if parents did not want their baby, they would throw the baby out to exposure outside. That was considered something that was legal, and Christians were considered. The way Christians behaved was so shocking to them. There's that word "shocking," right? That the Christians would actually go and pick up these children that were just left out, babies and young children, take them in and take care of them. So anyway,
they always saw abortion as against charity completely.
Yeah, really, really cool.
So
cool. I think we might have a little bit of a problem with the network connection with Father Nicholas. Okay. So we're running Skype, but we'll see if we can get him back on. So not to be surprising, right? So at any rate,
maybe he needs something.
What? I think so. I think this calls for a little something that could be helpful to us. Oh, there he is. Are you back? You disconnected for a while.
Yes. Okay, yeah. I couldn't hear you or see anything on my end, so I'm not sure what happened there. Sorry about that.
Well, that's what happened, though. It was...
it's like you came back from a coma or something.
Yeah. You were frozen. Okay. You were frozen. Just like the movie.
Well, I just missed that whole exposition.
Oh, did you really?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Just Father
Ricardo's... No, I heard Father Ricardo.
Okay, well, I'm going to repeat everything I said.
Just repeat everything. Why don't you just go back and just rewind the live feed?
Yeah,
no, I'm sorry, brother. This
if you can give me a minute, let me watch that real quick.
You know what? But this kind of disorientation and malfunction really frustrates me. You know what I need right now?
I know. Meme time.
I think we need some meme time.
Let's do it.
It's meme time. It's meme time. Gather all your friends. It's meme time. The only cure for sadness. It's meme time. It's meme time. Gather all your friends. It's meme time. It's meme time. It's meme time. The only cure for sadness.
Now you'll understand this meme if you're a Star Wars fan. Let me see if I can get up my Emperor Palpatine voice. Reading the Church Fathers is a pathway to many beliefs some consider to be apostolic. Is it possible to learn of these fathers? Not from Joel Osteen. If you're a Star Wars fan, you totally get that. If you're not a Star Wars fan, well, I'll give you a second meme, okay? But thumbs up, especially our Star Wars fans if you liked it. Thumbs down if you didn't. Let's get a thumb war started on Conversing Clergy. All right, here's the second one for you guys, in case you didn't get that reference. So who has not experienced this, where if you're wearing glasses and you have that mask on and you inhale, but then when you exhale, it fogs up your glasses? Oh, so yeah. I've actually seen people when they're reading the scripts, when they're reading the first and second reading, and I'm watching them and their glasses are fogging up while they're reading.
And I'm sure they freak out.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, my gosh. I can't read. I can't see.
Oh, my gosh. I can't wait for this whole thing to be over with the masks. So, anyway, I'm not going to get too much into that. So, if you like that meme, thumbs up if you did, thumbs down if you didn't. Let's start a thumb war on Conversing Clergy. All righty. So, let's move on to thing number 3, going back to our list here.
Yeah,
The third thing.
that was me.
That's you.
It's like
You are on.
Dr. Seuss.
Yeah. Thing
Thing
number one,
number-
thing
yeah.
number two, thing number three. So the third shocking thing that we probably didn't know about the early church is that Christians were accused of being cannibals.
Yeah,
So they were on the
one of-
keto diet, in other words.
Maybe, yeah. That was the beginnings of the keto, centuries earlier. So one of the things that I found really interesting was a text that was assigned by Dr. Panchak early in my seminary career at St. Mary's, and we read a text called "The Christians as the Romans Saw Them."
Yes, I remember
And
that
so
book.
it's a pretty interesting take on an outsider's perspective of what they observed and heard from locals within the growing and nascent church. And so one of the people who's described and kind of reviewed in this book is, I'm not sure the pronunciation, if it's Pliny or Pliny,
Plenty, I
but
think.
Pliny.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's what I've heard.
And so he talks about different reports of people who are saying that they're hearing rumors. Okay, so it's at this point it's just rumors within people within different parts of the Roman Empire who are beginning to be part of the cult of the Christian faith, and they're hearing talk about cannibalism or eating flesh, right? And so we're all familiar with that kind of language. In reading any part really of the Gospels, you're going to hear that, especially in John's Gospel. I'd say it's really, overwhelmingly explicit there, John chapter 6. And so Pliny, and there's another particular writer who was maybe just a few years after Pliny, who gives some pretty, I'm not going to go into the details, but he goes into some really explicit things about what he claims Christians are doing, and literally eating the flesh of people. So this, of course, just to repeat, is an outsider's take of what they're hearing about the Christian faith, that not knowing the intimate details, but hearing second or third hand of people who are maybe linked to this nascent Christian church about eating the flesh of a person or people.
Right.
So that was definitely a misconception of the Christian faith, but something that I think still today is something that a lot of people have difficulty or just flat out disagree with or don't believe, even within the Catholic faith. Sadly.
Yeah, I know. And it's
the real presence of the Eucharist.
Yes.
right.
Now that's
yeah.
a different thing altogether, but yeah.
No, it relates. It relates to it.
Right.
I think, it is very shocking to know that early Christians were confused with cannibals because of the reality of what they believed of
Right.
the Eucharist
that they actually
and the words they were
literally believed
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So beautiful.
Truly, yeah. It kind of reminds me of things that Catholics can be accused of now that is based on reality,
Yeah.
but it's not true. So things
Right.
get twisted in translation. I'm going to read some of the comments here. A lot of great engagement with the content. So I'll kind of skip over the comments about whether or not Father Rick or Father Nicholas can score a 3-pointer. I'm just going to skip over that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Nice exchange between Christopher Meyer and Mari Cruz about the Chewbacca painting. So I'd like to see that too. A comment about the Didache. The Didache, Bryn Sutton says, and this is on the Conversing Clergy YouTube channel, the Didache was fundamental in my husband's and my decision to start RCIA way back in 2003.
Oh yeah, I can totally see that happening with many.
And then Rob Stagg asks, Father Christopher, did you get your ears lowered? I don't because of my haircut, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, Christopher Meyer says, I thought it was pronounced Daidash. So he's responding to you, Father Nicholas, and he says, that's good. Reminds me of my seminary friend who liked to go into the library and ask the librarians if they had Q source available. It's so ridiculous.
Because there's no Q source.
There is no Q source. That would be another Conversing Clergy anyway, inside baseball.
Actually, yeah, that would be great.
Layla said, in ancient Judea, a baby was not considered a person until they reached the age of 1 year old. Then they were considered part of the community. Christianity is an outgrowth of Judaism. That's correct. Yeah. Bryn Sutton, but they definitely changed in that. The interesting thing is that now the Orthodox Jews are pro-life in terms of the child the child having rights at the moment of conception, and some of the Reformed Jews do not accept that. They're more pro-abortion or pro-choice.
Wow.
Let's see. Yeah, Layla says the father had complete control of the child in ancient Rome. Girl babies were routinely exposed and left to die. That is correct. Yeah, a lot of happy faces, a lot of thumbs up for the memes. Thank you. And a lot of people are saying yes, the glasses thing is real. And then Leda offers a little more insight here. And Germans in the Middle Ages accused Jews of eating small children too. I remember hearing that. I remember hearing that. And then Layla says Q is crazy, non-existent. I agree with you on that one too. All right. Anything on our Facebook page? Any comments here in terms of questions or anything? Everybody says they understand the glasses, and there's a lot of love being thrown your way, Father Nicholas, on the Facebook channel. So they're all saying hello and a lot of love yous, etc. Yeah, it's awesome. Raz says, because of the body and blood of Christ. This is on the St. Bartholomew YouTube channel now. And Raz is asking, what is ISBN? Did you mention an ISBN? No?
No.
That sounds like a bin number or something.
Yeah, that's easy to find.
Okay. Oh, what's the ISBN of the book? Okay.
Yeah, that's what
She's asking, what is the ISBN, not in principle, what is ISBN?
Okay, but that's gonna... Okay, I'm just gonna put it, and it's gonna be recorded, so you can go back 978 9781 579183557. This one looked like a capital I.
There it is. I put it up for you.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
It makes me think of there's a Michael Scott scene where Pam is answering a phone call, and Michael comes up to her, and she's talking to a potential client, and Michael just speaks over her, behind the scenes, and she's like, that makes us look so unprofessional. Yeah. And he just responds saying, they would never know it was me.
Yeah, exactly. Reading from the Facebook page for Father Christopher Plant, Cindy says, I believe Thomas never said abortion was moral. That's correct. He did, however, hold the science of the day that said life didn't begin until quickening. Exactly right. But he never got wrong the ethics of abortion.
There was a whole debate about the soul.
Yeah.
Like Tertullian, this is a heresy, but Tertullian believed that it was through, conception that the soul was transmitted naturally. So that's a heresy, but that tells you that the church was not about consensus.
Exactly, and once we discovered conception on a scientific level, that it happens at that moment with the joining of the sperm and egg, that's conception. So very good. And then Ron says, I thought one of the reasons why Protestants don't believe in the real presence of Jesus is because they don't have the priest who is in persona Christi to do the consecration during the Mass. The two are connected. And in fact, a lot of the rejection of the sacraments, like for Mass and confession, is based on an anti-clerical attitude towards the priesthood itself. If you remember, a lot of that was from... Now, I'm kind of making some generalizations there, and but anyway, we need to kind of move on. So we want to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So there is thing number 4, I think.
Cuatro.
And this is Father Nicholas.
That's correct.
And
so
they celebrated Mass in underground cemeteries.
Yeah, so this is really beautiful and awesome, heroic stuff that's going on. Going back to the first decades after the death of Christ, the nascent church was really growing pretty rapidly, and in the early decades and centuries, they were met with a lot of challenge to be able to worship publicly at all. So they for many years were gathering together in homes of wealthy persons who would welcome them so that they could have their liturgies, but also within the catacombs. So these were the places where the early martyrs would have been laid to rest, and other people within the community that where they were buried, and they would come together and worship the Lord in these places that were, very clandestine, and, I think also with a sense of great heroic virtue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever been, Father Nicholas, to one of the catacombs in Rome?
Yes, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely amazing. It's impressive.
It is.
Just the smell,
Yeah.
the humidity of
Right.
the underground earth. It's
Yeah, I went when I was not a priest, but we celebrated Mass there.
Oh, wow.
And I was in tears. All the other seminarians were in tears. The priest was in tears during the homily.
Wow.
I mean, it was very moving.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
A friend of mine who was Buddhist, we're friends going all the way back to high school.
Mm-hmm.
It was our senior year, and she hadn't been, from what I could tell, thinking about converting or Christianity or anything like that. And I remember this was when we can actually walk out to the gate, right? If
Yeah.
you were seeing a friend off. And so I just said to her, God bless her. And it stuck in her mind when she said that's what happened. And then she went on this trip. It was part of the French club, so you would go to different parts of Europe. And so she went in through France, and then she went to Rome, and then she went into the catacombs. And she said that is when it was like a wave of this feeling that was just telling her this is the way.
Yeah.
So there must be something about the prayers of those who were buried.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
there,
for
very
sure.
holy.
Yeah.
So cool stuff, man. This kind of thing, this kind of topic, I think, deserves a celebration, don't you think?
I think it does. A good one.
before the celebration, though. If I could just share, last year when I did go
No,
to
no.
Rome,
You don't get to block the celebration. You don't get to. No, I'm just go ahead. Go ahead.
You're very gracious. Thank you, Father Christopher.
Dang.
So I had the privilege of getting to offer Mass at the tomb of St. Peter, and it was the most special thing. And to be there with a couple priest friends made it even more special. But it was absolutely phenomenal to know that just beneath the altar lies the bones of St. Peter, and
That's
to
right.
think that this is the rock upon whom Christ stated that the church would be built. And so it's an awesome connection that I was right there. And we have that great devotion and cult to the saints, to the martyrs. And that's something that I absolutely love about our faith.
What's
Amen.
that beautiful phrase? The seed of the martyrs.
Or the seed of the church
No,
is the blood of the martyrs.
There you go.
Mhm.
The seed of the church is the blood of the martyrs. How true, right?
Yeah.
I love that.
I think I'm going to go ahead and just jump into the fifth thing. That celebration is gone now. It's gone.
Oh, come on! People are expecting it.
I'm going to go to the
I'm
fifth
sorry, everybody.
I'm gonna go to the
I'm sorry.
fifth
It's my fault.
You ruined
It's
it.
my
You
fault.
ruined it. You ruined it.
Well,
I'm just kidding. So number five, and I'll be real quick about it. So it's that Saint Polycarp's martyrdom was Eucharistic. Now Saint Polycarp was a bishop in the early church, and he was martyred around the time of 155.
Wow.
So we're talking about
Very
somebody that they say that he knew Pope Clement, and Clement knew St. Paul, right? That Clement was right there working with St. Paul in the apostolic missions. And so he was Bishop of Smyrna. And I want to show you what happened to him, about how he was martyred. Because what he ended up doing, this was during a huge persecution of Christians, right? And the proconsul there was telling him to renounce his faith. And he told him, I will throw you among the animals. And he basically said that for him it would be a great joy to give his body over to Christ. And he said, well, if you're going to spite the animals, then I will throw you into the fire. And then Polycarp responds by saying, an hour of fire is nothing compared to the eternal fire of condemnation to the wicked. Yeah, so I mean, you can just see how he was responding, and the emperor went ahead, and not the emperor, but the proconsul condemned him to death, to be burned at the stake, and it's the story, and this was a story that was written, and I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the quote that I have for you to look at. was that it was the martyrdom of Polycarp, Bishop of Smyrna, as told in the letter of the church of Smyrna to the church of Philomelium. And it was meant to be an encouragement for Christians who were being persecuted. And so he says, and when the flame flashed forth, we saw a miracle. And this is what people are seeing. For the fire made the shape of a vaulted chamber like a ship's sail filled by the wind, and made a wall around the body of the martyr. And he was in the midst, not as burning flesh, but as bread baking, or as gold and silver refined in a furnace. And we perceived such a sweet aroma as the breath of incense, or some other precious spice. And this is how Jesus, through the Holy Spirit, grew the church in those early years, was the witness of the martyrs, and to allow for miracles like that to be shown to those who are around, you know. And I think this is something that can be very encouraging for us, that if we ever feel like we're like this sense of doom, like the church is dying, we hear a lot of bad news, right? That there's people leaving the church in droves, et cetera, et cetera. We can always remember that in those days, the church was very small, and that the Lord did what he did through those who were faithful to bring about the foundation, the growth of the church in those early years. And I believe that same grace, and not just something I believe, it's the matter of our faith.
Yeah.
That same grace is at work among us to bring about the springtime of the church. Maybe we're going to continue to go through a decline, but then after that, we'll see how the Lord works.
I mean, I definitely believe that happened. But even if it did not happen, that just talks about the mind of the early church.
Yeah.
They were Eucharistic in mind.
Yeah.
And so you can definitely identify what they believed, and that the source and summit of the faith was the Eucharist.
Yeah. And there was another, was it St. Justin Martyr? We were talking about this. Was it St. Justin Martyr that said that he was looking forward to being fed to the lions so that he could be ground up like wheat.
There you go.
So
so
there was that connection between martyrdom and the Eucharist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah, I mean, we can definitely go more into it, but I just thought that was something amazing that I wanted to share with all of you, that was one of the early martyrdoms of the church, being manifest as bread and gold and silver. So there you go.
I also want to highlight another book here. The title is Witness of the Saints, Patristic Readings. Patristic means the church fathers, meaning the early church. Patristic Readings in the Liturgy of the Hours by Milton Walsh. So it's so good. It's basically all these beautiful readings that we have in the Liturgy of the Hours. They're all here, but they also, there are some insights to them.
Yeah, awesome.
Very
Thank
good
you.
book.
Thank you so much, Father Nicholas. And
Father Nicholas.
And Father Ricardo.
Did you know that I think it was a mass?
Uh-huh.
I think he called me Father Nicholas.
Wait, what? What'd you say? Did you say it? Are you trying to tell me that I made a mistake?
It's meme time, it's meme
I believe
time.
it.
Gather all your friends, it's meme time, it's meme time, it's meme time. The only cure for sadness. It's meme time, it's meme time. Gather all your friends, it's meme time, it's meme time, it's meme time. The only cure for sadness.
Yeah. There was a song.
You know, this is what I'm going to do from now on. When you guys start trolling me, I'm just going to jump to meme time. That's how it's going to be.
All right. Do it. You're in control.
That's right. I got the keyboard, man. So here's a great one of a cat that's standing up with a shocked look on its face. I love it when they show cats doing weird stuff like this. So it says, that will be $1,000. Chasing birds is not a reasonable excuse to be outside. So, and the cat is not wearing a mask as well. Got to take note of that. So thumbs up if you like that meme. Thumbs down if you didn't. I don't think Father Nicholas or Father Ricardo liked it. I think they just don't suffer this kind of foolishness. They've just gotten too dignified.
Now,
because he doesn't like cats. That's why you're giving it a thumbs down. Am I right?
Yeah.
That's what it is. All right.
I can't like cats. Let's put it that way. I'm allergic to them, so
I love it.
I can't like them.
Oh, Elizabeth, thank you so much. Yeah, we were going back and forth between St. Ignatius of Antioch and St. Justin Martyr. So yeah, it's God's wheat I am, and by the teeth of wild beasts I am to be ground, that I may prove Christ's pure bread. So thank you, Elizabeth, for chiming in there to help us out. So we love it when our participants help us out there. Cool. Alrighty, so at this time we have our segment PDC, which is pictures of the domestic church that we want to show to all of you. Thank you for those who submitted the PDC. We weren't able to get all of them out there, but we do have some, and we will eventually be able to show everybody. So now let's move into PDC, pictures of the domestic church.
What are you rolling your eyes about?
What's that? It was a technical glitch, but that was a preview before the title started. So anyway,
this is my favorite section of
Yeah.
Conversing Clergy. I
Yeah.
love these pictures.
yeah. So this is from the Canisaro family, and I don't know exactly what date this was on, but they're showing a devotion to the Blessed Virgin Mary. There she is with the flowers on her head, and
That's probably their backyard or
looks like front yard.
front
to me.
yard. Yeah.
If the Canisaros are on, let me know.
Yeah,
And
that's
it-
awesome.
Yeah, I think they are.
And the youngest one has a big donut, and I think that's the most impressive thing about the photo there. The big stuffed donut, man.
Yeah, no, and I hope this gives some ideas to the families, the domestic church.
Yeah.
We're still in the month of May, the month of Mary, to increase
Yeah.
devotion to our Blessed Mother. So you can do that with your kids. Sounds pretty fun, and now they don't know what to do with the kids. So this sounds like
That's the way to do it.
this is a great idea.
Yeah, I love it. Next, PDC. So this is from the Stagg family. So they took I think this is the Stagg family. If I don't, please correct me. If I'm not, I may be wrong on that one. But yeah, actually I am. This is Angelica Morphin. Excuse me. This is Angelica Morphin who sent us this image with the Virgin Mary in front of the TV, and I'm pretty sure this is the one where we're praying the Rosary together. And Father Ricardo has his fist up in the air. I think he's fist pumping something.
I think I do that.
Yeah.
Somebody captured that on Facebook while I
Uh-huh.
was giving a homily.
Oh,
right now,
really?
if you go to the Facebook, I
Uh-huh.
have another picture.
You have
like
your
that.
fist. Yeah,
I don't know why.
Well, that's what you're doing there. Well, it looks like maybe you're.
Because you've got the passion.
I got the I got
know
the
you-
power.
Yeah. Oh, Raz is asking, why didn't the crowning get on YouTube? It was because we didn't get the help that we needed. We weren't able to find anybody to help to get that extra camera to connect to YouTube. So, we're doing our best here. So, Rob Stack says, yes, the lowering of your ears was in reference to your haircut. All right, moving on to the next one. So this one really touched
Oh,
me in
that's-
deep into my heart here.
I can speak a little bit about it because my sister sent it to me.
Okay, I was trying to figure out where
This
who it's
is from Washington State.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And this is a good friend of my sister and my brother-in-law, and she loves Conversing Clergy.
Oh, good.
And she's from France, actually. She speaks French, and beautiful, huh?
Yeah.
I mean,
it
she's
was-
moved. She's praying with us. I mean,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Yeah, that was and that was the one with Father Paul Felix about Latin. So
Oh yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see the photo there, and it looks like I'm smarting off somehow. But it really touched my heart when I saw that that we
Me
have
too.
someone who is there in the house, really connecting with us, and we're connecting with her. So, thank you so much
That is
for those.
beautiful. Man.
Yeah, really
that.
cool. So thank you so much for sending in your pictures, pictures of the domestic church. It really means a lot to us, and we love to share them with others. And it's a way of celebrating how you are in the church. We're kind of inviting you into the life of the clergy, and you're inviting us into your lives as a domestic church. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and open up with question and answer. So any questions you might have about the faith, it could be anything, and all of the easy questions I'll be able to answer, and all the hard stuff we'll throw over to Father Nicholas because he's
Why not?
he's a guest.
Why not?
Make him work hard. So I'm going to look now into the chats here, and we have a lot of good lot of compliments for the photos. So a lot of thumbs up and great photos, great pictures. So you're getting a lot of love there, guys. Angelica and the Canisaros and this was, who did you say this was?
Her name is Perrette.
Perrette. Okay. Yeah. Oh, here's Patrick. Here's the dad chiming in, the Canisaro dad. So it says Cecilia's ratings thumbs up. May 1st. Okay, so that image with the children was from May 1st, the May crowning. And he says Benno's donut pillow was a crown holder for the procession. Now that I like. That I like. I'm sure Mother Mary was just enjoying that. Yeah. And like get some compliments there on the crowning of Mary. Beth says, love that crowning of Mary. Anna Marie talking about that meme with the cat says, the cat nor the officer were wearing masks. Thumbs down. So, Beth O'Neill would like to find out, how was your first year? How has it been so far, Father Nicholas?
Well, I'm glad the first year's over with. I could say that. It's been a lot of challenges, but also some really beautiful things. It was an interesting switch to make the transfer over to St. Francis right as we got started with Lent. So it's a bit of an interesting time to make a transfer, and then to experience my first Holy Week as a new administrator and pastor was a bit of a challenge. And then so just a few weeks here, we had confirmation with Bishop Schultz. So it was a whirlwind of just new things altogether, and new people. Just a beautiful, beautiful thing. So
you really, because I remember you sharing that with me, and then on top of that, you had a lot of adjustments to make earlier on too. Like there were some things that needed to be worked on. I remember you telling me that.
Yeah. Well, a little bit of the backstory was that the previous pastor, God rest his soul, Father Frank Fabi, he had died in early January of 2019. So the parish was without a pastor, without a priest at all. So they have not had a parochial vicar here in a number of years. And so they were having visiting priests every weekend for about 2 months. And it was a slow sickness. So even before his death in January, they had many visiting priests for several months before. So it was a very sad time in the life of the parish here. Yeah. And so they were glad to just have a priest that was dedicated to them, to serve them here. And thankfully it was me. I'm glad to have been given this awesome privilege.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot more to come. I can tell you that. And even just after 7 years of being a pastor, I still feel like I'm a novice, continuing to learn new things, but it's a great adventure. Marty Brown is asking on the the Facebook page for St. Bartholomew, Father Rick, what was the name of the earliest prayer to Mary mentioned in the first thing?
Subtum Praesidium. So it's praesidium. We fly to thy protection.
O Virgin of Virgins, my mother.
O Holy Mother of God, do not despise our petitions. So
that's
you can just Google "We fly to thy protection." That's the first words.
Isn't that the Memorare?
No, it's not.
It sounds very familiar, right?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's a different one.
Interesting.
In Spanish is "Nos acogemos, oh Santa Madre de Dios, no desprecies la sombra."
Oh, now I remember.
Thank you. I knew that was going to help you.
No.
You are a troller. Oh, I can't hear myself now.
Oh, you probably pulled the cord. Yeah. All right. Wait, talk?
Yeah, it's
okay,
fine.
You got it. All right, you good. All right, look, we have some other questions here. Elizabeth is asking, this is on the YouTube channel for Conversing Clergy, why do the Orthodox do the sign of the cross from right to left?
Because they wanted to be different. That's as simple as that.
Is that really the answer?
They did not want to associate themselves with the West.
That's it. That's the answer.
That's the answer.
I think I heard that before too. Yeah.
And if somebody else knows something else, let us know.
Yeah.
But
they distinguish themselves.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like the how Judaism after Christ in the first century, I think it was 100 years after that, they had rejected the Septuagint as the translation and took on the Hebrew. So kind of what Protestants use is also what Jews use with regard to the Old Testament, was to separate themselves from Christianity and not use the same Old Testament books.
But it's kind of cool. We're in Houston. We're very blessed to actually go to a Byzantine Catholic church, And it's
Yeah.
kind of cool to do
Yeah.
the sign of the cross
Right.
backwards. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, or we're doing it backwards and they're doing it the right way.
Well, that's what they say.
Yeah.
It's a battle.
X-Wing class is asking a question for each of you. Which is your favorite early church father and why? Father Nicholas.
I don't have a ready answer for that. I have to think on that.
How about you, Father Ricardo?
Well, mine I already shared. It's actually my patron saint, my favorite saint, Saint Augustine of Hippo. He's definitely, I always find great insights to pray about the readings that I'm going to preach about or any topic that I'm going to talk about and teach.
Yeah.
And also confessions that definitely blew my mind. So
Yeah, I would
pretty
say Saint John Chrysostom. They called him the golden tongue, right? Because the way he was able to preach and how eloquent he is. And I remember a particular homily that he gave with regard to the identity of the priest, and he was also referring to himself as well about the peril of being a priest and of being one who is ordained. And he said that what consoles him is what awaits him in the future in terms of his labors for the faithful. And he said that the faithful, he said, all of you are fashioning for me a crown of glory in heaven. So because of that relationship he had with the faithful. So that really touched my heart. I actually read that in my pastoral year because it's in the Office of Readings. So I remember that. Yeah, cool. What about you, Father Nicholas? You've had
I
2
think,
minutes to think.
Yeah, I'm going to just steal from Father Ricardo and say that, St. Augustine he was very influential in the years when I was discerning seminary and priesthood. So I think he's a pretty solid, hero of mine, I could say.
cool.
And let's see. Layla's asking, are married priests, as in Anglican priests / Catholic priests, allowed to pastor a Catholic church, or must they remain parochial-vicars? Actually, one who converts from Catholicism or converts from Anglicanism, it's already married, into the Catholic Church, becoming a pastor, or becoming a priest as a married man after they convert to Catholicism. I have seen some cases where they have served as pastors, particularly in the personal ordinariate.
Yes.
The personal ordinariate of the Chair of St. Peter.
The only restriction is they cannot become bishops.
Yeah.
That's the only restriction. But they can be pastors.
Right.
Yeah.
In fact, the first bishop of the personal ordinariate is a celibate priest, and that's Bishop Lopes
That's right.
of the Chair of St. Peter.
But he's not from, he's a Roman Catholic
Yeah, he's
priest.
a Roman Catholic, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Lillian asks, why do Protestants or evangelicals or Christians frown upon praying for the intercession of the saints? I can only tell you what I have heard. I can't speak in general about that. In terms of, I can't speak specifically in terms of each Protestant church, particularly because they're so different now that sometimes you'll see some of them have a devotion to the saints. But what I have heard is that they would say you can only pray to God. You cannot pray to the saints. Prayer is reserved to God alone. And in that's what they're saying is that prayer is equated to worship, right?
Right.
The problem is just the language, like how the English language is put together and what prayer means. That prayer really just means ask, right? Or petition. Like, have you ever heard the term pray tell, right? You've heard that before. Pray tell, please tell whatever it is I want to know. So that's the issue right there. When we're talking about praying to the saints, we're not talking about worship. We're talking about devotion to the saints, and we're talking about communicating to the saints and asking them to intercede for us. So it's just a confusion about language. It's probably a bit more complicated than that, like because of how they interpret how we use the images of the saints and all of that. So that could be another issue.
It gets complicated because some Protestants, they actually don't believe that right now those persons who die are actually alive. They literally think they are asleep.
Right.
So you cannot actually ask them for anything because they're sleeping until the second coming.
Right.
But no, obviously that's a heresy.
Lillian asks, I have been challenged by friends and family that they say there is no need to request intercession to communicate with our Father. What is a good response to them? I would say there's a couple of things. God always works through a middleman. Always. In every case. He's never completely. There's never a time or an instance where somebody is not relating to God through someone else or through something else. So let me explain a little bit more about that. And I'm not saying that there's never any direct communication. What I'm saying is in a person's life, God is continually mediating through others and through other things. So one example is God doesn't need to create human beings through parents. He could just create somebody snapping his fingers and that person comes into existence, but he mediates through the procreative gift that he has given to the husband and the wife. So, all right, let's talk about how God created the universe. He created through the Son of God. He didn't just do it on his own. Even in God's self, there is mediation in his very essence, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. All throughout the Old Testament, you can read it. God always worked through somebody else. It was through Abraham that he created the nation of Israel, the tribes of Israel. The 12 tribes of Israel itself became the medium, the middleman of the Messiah. Right? Jesus didn't just select a random family. The Son of God didn't select a random family. He entered in through the holy people of God of Israel. Jesus himself, of course, being the true priest, is the chief intercessor or the true intercessor, but he doesn't change how he works all of a sudden. Like he's not going to say, okay, no more middleman, no more intercession. Now just come directly to me. He doesn't do that because that's not how God is. That's not how he works. So he continues it through the church. Through the sacred scriptures that were written through people, through the tradition of the church. And so there's no reason to throw out, to exclude intercession of the saints on that argument, because it's not true that we don't need to connect to God through somebody else, because that is how he always relates to us, is through other people or through other things. And then in the context of that, we have these direct experiences and connections to God. I hope that makes sense.
I think it did.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that was very well.
You don't sound
very
sure.
well stated.
Were you reading that?
So, no, I wasn't. Well, I'm kind of cheating because it was actually my homily preview from this week.
Oh, really?
or from last
funny.
week.
That's funny. Well,
so watch my homily preview on this channel.
it served two purposes.
Yeah. We're going to read a few more questions. I hope we didn't take too long in terms of answering some of these questions. A lot of good questions are coming in, though. Let's see. I'm going to switch over to... So that was the YouTube channel, Conversing Clergy. I'm going to look over at the YouTube channel for St. Bartholomew, see if there's any questions that came in. Jose Sanchez is asking in Spanish, Padre, ¿qué es el Catecismo Mayor San Pío X y en qué se diferencia del actual? So the Catechism of St. Pius X.
La verdad, bueno, yo
Yeah.
no sé la respuesta, no he comparado los dos,
Yeah.
pero obviamente en los dos vas a encontrar la verdad. Es simplemente que el catecismo actual tiene unos recursos más grandes que cualquier otro catecismo. Tiene todas las encíclicas papales, cartas apostólicas, tiene referencias a la Biblia, tiene referencias a algunas frases de los santos, entonces es más completo. Pero la verdad no sé bien cómo...
Sí, tampoco sé, pero yo sé que es un catecismo válido que
Sí.
puedes usar.
Sí.
No, bueno, ese es un santo, ¿verdad? San Pío X. So very good. All right. I'm sorry we won't translate because we basically if somebody
It's
asks
the
something
rule.
in Spanish,
That's
we
the
answer in
rule.
Spanish because it takes forever to duplicate everything.
Yeah.
So, okay. I know we have a few more questions, but we are running a little bit out of time. So, but before we begin to wind down, I think it's time to do another celebration because I think people behaved well. Father Nicholas was well behaved too.
I think he's been, yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know after the meme though. But
Yeah.
We'll see.
You know what?
Hmm.
Let's do it.
It's meme time, it's meme time. Gather all your friends, it's meme time. It's meme time, it's meme time. The only cure for sadness. It's meme time, it's meme time. Gather all your friends, it's meme time. It's meme time, it's meme time. The only cure for sadness.
This is a guy that wants to be a ventriloquist and he has the mask on and he says, I think I may really have a shot at this now. Because he's a ventriloquist. Get it?
Okay. Somebody sent you that one?
Thumbs up if you like it. Yeah. Why are you insulting our viewers?
No. Did you find that one?
No, that
Oh,
was
okay.
from that's from Elizabeth Messina. Elizabeth, I loved it. That's why I put it up there. So, but that's how it is, you know. If you submit a meme, you know, you take a risk, see if it takes or not. So, thumbs up if you loved it, thumbs down if you didn't. I loved it. That's why I put it in there. So, I think I may have. Father Carlos says thumbs sideways.
I don't know. Not.
I like it.
I guess. Yeah.
I give it a thumbs up.
Yeah. It's all right.
I think it's good. See, we got people rolling around. They're laughing. There's tears coming out of their eyes. That's how hard they're laughing right now. Okay, awesome. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up for this evening. Thank you so much. You have been absolutely wonderful as participants of Conversing Clergy. Thank you again. For those who are new to the channel, who have just come in to participate in Conversing Clergy, we do this every week. The charism is to converse together so that Jesus himself joins in the conversation, that we may walk away tonight with our hearts burning with divine grace, just like the disciples on their way to Emmaus. So we hope that you had that experience tonight as well. We do this, like I said, every Wednesday, and then every single day right now we're offering Rosary and Chaplet of Divine Mercy during the time of the pandemic. And we're also publishing videos that help to reflect on the readings that come up for the Sundays. If you're interested in this kind of content and you'd like to receive more of it and just stay in touch with us, feel free to follow the Facebook page and hit the like button on Facebook. And if you're on either of the YouTube channels, feel free to hit the subscribe button and make sure to hit that bell notification. Otherwise, you will not be notified when we start our live feeds. And also like the videos too if you like them. And we would appreciate that because it helps out the channel. I also want to thank our Patreon patrons who help us out by financial assistance to help Conversing Clergy continue to develop as a ministry. If you want to join the Patreons or the patrons on Patreon, you can go to the patreon.com conversing clergy page. The link is down below for YouTube, and it's somewhere on the Facebook page if you're watching this on Facebook. And people ask, how can we help out with St. Bartholomew? We aren't able to get to Mass, put money in the basket, etc. Well, you can go to the Faith Direct page for St. Bartholomew by going to givebart.com, and then you can sign up there to give a one-time gift or also a periodic gift. And we thank you so much for your generosity and helping us out. And if you can't give anything, please don't feel guilty. The most powerful thing you can do is to intercede, to pray for the parish. So thank you so much for your generosity, both in prayer and also financially. Also, we're going to continue to have our confessions every single day, 10 to 11 a.m., Monday through Saturday. We're going to continue, as I said already, with our rosaries and Divine Mercy chaplets every single day at 3 p.m., and we rotate between English and Spanish. Monday, English, Tuesday, Spanish, Wednesday, bilingual at 6:45 in front of the Blessed Sacrament, Thursday in English at 3 p.m., Friday in Spanish at 3 p.m., and then Saturday again in English at 3 p.m. We have our masses that are open. I'm not going to give you all the details. I'd rather that you go to the website st-bart.org to read the information there about our masses that have been opened up. There is no lottery anymore. So, and I'm not talking about the state lottery. I'm talking about the lottery for the masses. So you might have a better experience with the state lottery than some had with the mass lottery. We were doing our best trying to make it as positive of an experience and as fair as we could be with everybody, but it didn't necessarily bear fruit. But we were happy to go ahead and make an adjustment and open it up. But just remember that there is a 250 person limit. So if one of the masses, for example, the 9 a.m., if we cross over the 250 threshold, unfortunately, we would have to. If you show up after that, we might have to ask you to go to another mass, and we want to avoid that. So that's for the masses, and I do want to say a word of thanks to all of our parishioners who are cooperating with this time, wearing their masks, social distancing, working with the times that we're providing for the masses. I am so unbelievably grateful to all of you because you're doing such a great job. And this isn't going to last forever, so I'll just say that much there. If you want to submit to us memes for meme time, like we've been getting from our parishioners, it's been really great, or just from people that watch and not necessarily from the parish, please send it to cmeyer at st-bart.org. It's kind of weird using his email. It's like a post-mortem email. but it does the job. So let's see if I can get you there it is. So cmeyer at sc-bart.org, and you can just send your meme or your PDC, pictures of the domestic church. And when you do your PDC, one suggestion is to have either a picture of you watching Conversing Clergy. I kind of like the setup with the Conversing Clergy. Your setups around it too. Images of your children, y'all praying together. Well, whatever it might be, it's always a really cool thing to see and to show to others. So, cmeyer at sc-bart.org. I'm leaving up there the Latin at unavocekatie.com if you want to continue to receive materials about Latin and praying in Latin. So that is available to you as well. All right. I think that's pretty much it. Did I do good with that?
I think so.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's all. That's what
Well
I'm here
done.
for.
Everything else is in the website and Facebook and,
Yeah.
all of those.
Fantastic.
Instagram. Do we have Instagram?
We don't. I don't have Instagram.
Oh, okay.
I don't think the church does either. We probably should have Instagram. It's a thing.
Yeah, it is.
So, awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining
Sweet.
us, and we're going to end now with we like to sing the Regina Caeli, Father Nicholas, and
Oh, great.
And if you want to give us a final blessing for tonight, that would be awesome.
Gladly.
Yeah. Okay.
Regina Caeli,
Letare, Alleluia.
Quia quemeruisti portare. Alleluia. Resurrexit, sicut dixit. Alleluia. Ora pro nobis Deum. Alleluia.
The Lord be with you.
and with your spirit.
May Almighty God bless you, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Amen.
Remain in peace.
Thanks
you.
be to God. Thank you, Father
Thank you,
Nicholas.
brother.
Thank you for
Thank
joining
you for
us.
the invitation. This was wonderful. Thank you, Father Ricardo, Father
God
Christopher.
bless you.
Yeah, I'm glad you were able to join us. My name is Father Christopher Plant. I'm the pastor of St. Bartholomew here in Katy, Texas.
My name is Father Rick Arriola, and I'm the parochial vicar.
And I'm Father Nicholas Ramirez, pastor at St. Francis Cabrini.
Thank you for joining us, Conversing Clergy, clergy who talk and listen. God's blessings to you.
God bless.
Here I am at your door. Would you let me in? I have gained all the world, restless heart again. And I've been here before. How do you forgive? I just wanna feel you move. Closer, would you make your move? It's your endless life.
Alrighty.
It's your endless
Thank you. That was good. That was Arlen just, chiming in with Cindy's Facebook account. Yeah, I texted him. I asked him, I was like, why don't you just show yourself?
There are wars in my
Exactly.
mind.
I should have called him
Who
out.
I am.
All right, have a good night, Father Rick. God bless you.
Telling me,
All right, Chris, y'all have a good one. Thanks for the invitation. I enjoyed it.
would you speak to my heart?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Little bright again.
I can't, you're cutting in and out. I have a bad connection. I'm sorry.
Closer, would you make your move? It's your endless life. It's your
Yeah.
endless life.
Like every other word I'm getting. Hello? Well, say that again? Yeah.
Love is a movement that puts us in motion to fly.
Okay.
Your love's the reason why I am not dead but
I don't know. Maybe. Shoot.
now is the time to surrender. I give you my life. Give you my life.
Okay. I figured because I mean that's always tough. Always what it sounds like. Yeah, no, it was good. I wish I wish I could have been there. That would have been great. Maybe I can come out some other time. Yeah. Yeah. Alrighty, brother. Well, I'm going to call it, save my life prayers, and